then do Mr. Russell, and then do Mr. Rucker.
Hello.
Hi, how are you?
One moment.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, please mute your devices until the court asks you to unmute to speak, please. Thank you. We are streaming live on the YouTube channel, and the court is calling case number, let me see. Case number U585-46720, Even
Yes.
Ramo. Even Wada Youssef Ramo. And the charge is miscellaneous business license violation. This is the date and time for pretrial. If Mr. Ramos is in the virtual courtroom, please say your name for the record.
Even Wadha Yusuf Ramo.
Thank you, Mr. Ramo. And Mr. Ramo, your attorney is here representing you, is that right?
Yes.
Yes, Your Honor. Thank you and good morning. Good morning. Thank you.
Good morning.
My name is Tim Youssef. My P number is 64538, and I am appearing on behalf of Mr. Ramo.
Thank you, Mr. Youssef. Are the people being heard on this one, Ms. Horn?
I can't hear you.
Yes, Your Honor.
Hold on, Mr. Ramo. You're not going to need to speak. We will do the speaking from here on out.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Your Honor. Tamika Horn, on behalf of the City of Detroit, the people also present with a motion.
All right, thank you, Ms. Horn. What is the motion?
The motion is to dismiss this matter. The people have been presented a business license.
Thank you very much. Mr. Youssef?
Thank you, Your Honor. No objections, Your Honor. Thank you so much.
All right, so this matter is dismissed pursuant to the people's recommendation, and there are no costs associated with this dismissal, right, Madam Clerk?
Correct, Your Honor.
All right then, Mr. Youssef, you may disconnect. Mr. Ramo, you can disconnect. Thank you both very much for being here. And the court is going to call.
Thank you, Your Honor.
You're welcome. Stanford Russell, and the case number is, let me find Mr. Russell on the docket. Case number Z7984761, Stanford Russell. This is the date and time for review. The charge is operating while visibly impaired. Mr. Stanford Russell, if you're in the virtual courtroom, please say your name for the record.
Stanford Russell.
Mr. Russell. Mr. Russell, are you able to connect with the video feature on your device?
Yes, ma'am. I can see you clearly.
I can't see you.
Oh, it won't do that. It won't.
All right, so you're not able to connect. So your answer is no. Okay.
Okay.
But you have to listen carefully.
Yes, ma'am.
Who's representing Mr. Russell?
I am, Your Honor, for the record, Harry Boffman, P55052, on behalf of the defendant.
All right, and the case manager for Mr. Russell is Ms. Cleveland. Your appearance for the record, please.
Thank you, Your Honor. Toshi Cleveland, case manager for Sobriety Court.
Thank you. Now, first and foremost, Mr. Boffman, I understand Mr. Russell is here on an admission of violation. This matter was previously adjudicated, and Mr. Russell was sentenced to probation. Is that what happened? You want to explain to the court while we're here?
This is correct. Procedurally, this case begins, Your Honor, in, I want to say 1997. The defendant was charged in 1997 with the instant offense and was finally arraigned in 2004 on that offense. Thereafter, the defendant again capious or absconded and was brought back to justice in 2011, wherein he made an admission and pled guilty and was placed on probation but true to form at that time, the defendant was struggling with some issues, and he did not show back up for after he was sentenced to probation and terms and conditions underlying probation that he's accused of violating here. The defendant now,
so that this record reads coherently, can you tell me specifically what the sentence was so that we can have Mr. Stanford admit the violation?
yes, Your Honor, one moment, please.
We don't have his probation officer, do we? Or do we even know who that person was at the time?
Yes, that was not someone who was I'm familiar with, and probably someone who was new to the file that was in the courtroom earlier. One moment. And I'll pull up the information on the instant case.
Normally, that probation officer would give the court the information, but in the interest of time, if you can do it, we'll.
I can, Your Honor. I'm pulling that up right now. As I demonstrate that I am not in a computer.
I can read it off the ROA if you'd like, Your Honor.
All right, that will work too. As long as Mr. Russell has the knowledge of what he is admitting to.
It was originally an operating while intoxicated first offense. It pled down to an impaired. And it was fines and cost, attend victim impact panel, attend AA 2 times a week, attend and complete alcohol highway safety education, shall not use or possess any illegal substances, submit to drug urinalysis, shall not consume any alcohol beverage.
Pay all outstanding traffic tickets in full and obtain a valid driver's license, nothing further.
Thank you. All right, Mr. Russell.
Yes, ma'am.
Did you do any of the things indicated in the probation report? That was
Yes,
just,
ma'am. You know,
what
I
did
lost my mother, man, and I just didn't care about nothing. I admit up to it. I owe up to it. I done it. I'm guilty. I just want to, proceed or try to get my license and get my life together.
Okay, sir. So you are admitting that you have violated your probation.
Yes,
Is that
ma'am.
correct? All right.
Yes,
Then the
ma'am.
court will accept the admission
Yes, ma'am.
of guilt, and Mr. Boffman.
So our next action date, Your Honor, we will have things sorted out with respect to a plan of action for the defendant. We're going to put him in one of the specialty programs that this court has to offer that's going to give him the type of services that he could benefit from. So we're asking the court for its next best action date for a sentence date.
Well, once the court accepts the admission of violation, we transfer the defendant immediately into the specialty program, if that's what's going to happen. Ms. Cleveland, on behalf of the specialty programs offered by this court, have you interviewed Mr. Russell?
Your Honor, we would still need time to do further intake. I am recommending him for one of the other specialty programs, not the sobriety court one, based on the conversation that I've had with him and now with his attorney. However, we can set a date a little further out for the 13th of April, and then that should afford us enough time to make sure that we are Mr. Russell needs to receive his documentation via mail, and I know it's going to take him a little time to get that, and he needs to review it and understand, because of the voluntary nature of the programs, that but the one that I'm specifically speaking of, that does not necessarily have to be a voluntarily. admitted program. So
Well,
it's a
once
little bit.
he's admitted the violation, then this court really doesn't have jurisdiction unless we immediately refer him. Otherwise, what we need to do, I think, Mr. Boffman, is adjourn him for further proceedings
Yes, Your
on
Honor.
April 13th, just so that we have some connection and retain some authority over Mr. Russell. So
So
is
we would
that
ask for
what?
that date, please, and thank you, yes.
Okay, so then Mr. Yes,
Tamika Horn, on behalf of the city, based on Mr. Russell's assertions, and I'm not quite sure if I have the authority to do it, but if I do, I would ask for a bond, a monetary bond of $100 to ensure that he returns, and also that we can work with him to get the assistance he needs.
I think that I would object. I do understand the people's concern considering the defendant's previous capious history and the nature of the case, but I think what's most important is what's the court has heard personally from the defendant today in terms of his dedication to make a change, his willingness to accept terms and conditions, and that he showed up today of his own volition, Your Honor. We did not have to bring him here in handcuffs. He showed up because by way of whatever epiphany he's had, this has become important to him. He realizes that's important to attend at his next meeting. He and I spoke about that specifically, Your Honor, and specifically I have told him to pay close attention to the details of what we talk about today. So we're asking just that you would consider a personal bond, considering everything, Your Honor. Thank you.
all right, thank you. Mr. Russell, first of all, I'm a little concerned that I can't see your face. When I make an assessment of whether someone is being truthful and honest and remorseful, I like to really see their eyes.
Let me see something. Let me hold on.
How long ago did your mother pass, Mr. Russell?
2010.
Now,
I
Mr.
can't get it.
Russell, do you have an alcohol problem, sir?
No, ma'am. I don't even really drink. I call myself an I'm not gonna say. I call myself a silverback. You know, I carry myself like a silverback gorilla. There's nothing can really hurt me, but that really hurt me. You know, I couldn't take it. Ma'am, I'm a strong person. I try to take care of my family, but the majority of my family is dead. I lost my son in 2009. That drove me crazy. I started drinking, but I stopped. My mother died, and I just started drinking vodka. I didn't know what I was drinking. And I never had a license before because I had people taking me where I need to go. Ma'am, I'm just trying to get my credit together to buy me a house.
Let's do this. Mr. Russell, we're not going to be able to resolve this today. I'm going to adjourn this matter.
Right.
For sentencing.
Okay.
Alternative until April 13, 8:30 in the morning at the request of the case manager for the specialty program. Ms. Cleveland, but from what I'm hearing, if someone isn't, I don't know whether it would be an alcohol related specialty program unless Mr. Russell is acknowledging that he has an alcohol problem, which he does not seem to be doing.
No.
So
if I could just make one statement, Mr. Russell, one moment, please. I believe that Mr. Russell might not understand the terminology that we're using in a way that's greater than a layman's term. I believe what he's trying to say is that he's in, and there he goes to the screen, Your Honor.
Here's my video right here.
He does have a serious problem with alcohol. It has caused him numerous problems in the past. He arrives here at this court because of that, but that it is currently in remission, that he hasn't drank for some time, but when he was drinking, he was bad with it.
Okay, then Mr. Russell, let me just say this. Your analogy is a silverback gorilla.
Yeah.
Mine is Superman.
Yeah.
If you have a problem with alcohol,
it's just
like kryptonite.
Yeah, it's just
like kryptonite to you. I like analogies to human references.
Yeah.
So even though Superman is a superhuman reference,
Yeah.
if you got a problem with alcohol, it is forever. It is your
No.
kryptonite. So I want you back here, sir. I'm not going to give you a bond, but I am going to order you back here April 13, 8:30 in the morning. And that will tell me whether you are serious about addressing your problems.
Excuse me, ma'am. Can I say something, Your Honor, ma'am? I paid almost,
Mr. Russell, just come back on April 13th. April 13th, and we're going to discuss further
okay.
the consequences of your violation. Mr. Russell, 8:30 in the morning. It's going to be a Zoom connection. And Mr. Russell, I want to see your face for the entire time.
Hold on, let me see. Here I go.
Okay, I want to see your face the entire time when you come back on April 13th.
Can you see my face now?
I do.
Okay.
You haven't been drinking today, have you?
No.
Okay.
Heck you no.
Okay, good.
No way.
All right, so we'll see you April 13th.
Okay.
8:30 in the morning, it'll be a Zoom connection.
Okay, thank you so much, Your Honor.
All right, at that time, we will decide what the next step will be for Mr. Russell. Thank you. You may disconnect, sir.
Do I
Have a good day.
honest to you? Do I have an honest face to you?
Thank you, Ms. Cleveland. I hope you have some detail for me on this.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay.
I'll be doing some investigation for you and I'll share with his counsel.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. And now we have Ms. Rucker. Is that correct?
Ready.
All right. The court is calling case number SP 1201741, Sonia Michelle Rucker. The charge is no operator's license on person. Also SP 1201791, driving 11 to 15 miles over the speed limit. Count 2 of that same ticket is expired plates. All matters are scheduled for trial or formal hearing today. If Sonia Rucker is in the virtual courtroom, please say your name for the record.
Sonia Rucker.
Thank
Good morning,
you.
Your Honor. Harry Bachman for the defendant.
Thank you. And Mr. Bachman, your P number again, just for the record, sir.
P55052.
Thank you. And the officer in this matter is?
Officer Anthony Hill, badge 4598, City of Detroit, 10th Precinct, Your Honor.
Thank you, Officer Hill. And Ms. Horn, do you wish to be heard for the people?
And I would thank Ms. Horn for her recommendation and indicate for the record that Ms. Rucker, to her credit, presents today with some valid documentation, specifically registration, insurance, and driver's license. For that reason, there has been a recommendation made that the defendant's speeding case would be reduced, and she's going to plead guilty pursuant to that recommendation. On her behalf, I would stipulate to probable cause as to those matters being dismissed. Thank you.
All right. So in other words, her no operator's license is recommended for dismissal as well as her expired plate. Officer,
Correct, Your Honor.
were you advised of this recommendation by the prosecutor?
Yes, I was advised, Your Honor.
Sir, are you all right with this? Do you have any
Well,
issues?
I didn't know that she had her license is current and she did get an insurance. If that was the case, I would have dismissed the speeding, but I'm okay with the offer.
Okay. Thank you very much for being here, Officer Hill. You may disconnect from the hearing.
I appreciate
And thank you. Now, I don't know if Ms. Horn heard that, but what was her recommendation, Mr. Bachman?
blockading or impeding traffic was the recommendation.
Okay, Your Honor. Yes.
Okay, so I don't know. Did she hear from the officer in terms of what the officer was recommending, Mr. Bachman?
I would ask if the court would just take a moment for the better result, for the benefit of the defendant, if we could.
Ms. Horn, you have a good recommendation, but the officers recommending something that may be even better for you. If you want to wait just a moment till the prosecutor reconnects and we can ask her.
Absolutely, thank you.
She may have gone to another courtroom by now.
I think she did, Your Honor. She was telling me she had other courtrooms to attend.
So either way, that limited access has no points, but I can't just dismiss it without the people's consent. So we can either plead responsible to that limited access or wait for the prosecutor, Mr. Bothman.
Your Honor, I would prefer to wait if it would please the court.
Okay, and Officer Hill, I can communicate to Ms. Horn what your recommendation is, just to see whether she will consent. If you've got someplace else to be, only because, sir, I'm not sure where she is or how long it'll take her to come back.
I would have no objection to Officer Hill being excused, and I would, in fact, thank him for his kindness and his courtesy, and hope to see him next time.
Yes, thank you. I appreciate it.
All right. Thank you, Officer Hill.
Thank you.
And Madam Clerk, we can wait maybe 5 minutes for Ms. Horn to come back. If not, we'll have to proceed with the limited access.
Understood, Your Honor.
Is there anyone else ready for the live stream at this time, or is Ms. Rucker the last
Sheila
person?
Daly.
Pardon?
Sheila Daly, I believe we're ready for a plea on Sheila Daly.
Okay, so then can we put Ms. Rucker? Ms. Rucker, we're going to put you in the waiting room just for a few minutes.
Hello?
And Ms. Daly, the court is calling case number SP 114-94661, Sheila Daly, allowing an unlicensed driver to drive. Count 2, no insurance, and count 3, driving an unregistered or untitled vehicle. All 3 matters are scheduled for trial. Ms. Sheila Daly, if you're in the virtual courtroom, please say your name for the record.
My name is Sheila Daly.
Good morning, Your Honor. Harry Boffman, P55052, on behalf of the defendant. She's going to hear and now waive rights and plead guilty pursuant to the recommendation that's part of the court's file today.
Okay, and what is that recommendation, sir?
She will hear plea to count 1 with count 2 and count 3 thereafter being dismissed. Count 1, the recommendation is for a delayed sentence of 90 days. My client understands she will have that period to pay the ticket and that she would return after 90 days and be entitled to a dismissal as long as she pays that ticket and doesn't get any more entanglements.
All right. Ms. Daly, you have heard the representation of your lawyer. Are you in agreement with that representation?
Yes.
Ms. Daly, were you advised of your right to a trial?
Yes, ma'am.
If you were to have a trial, it would normally take place inside of the 36th District Court, but because of the pandemic, the courthouse is closed to the public. And so you've agreed to participate on the Zoom technology, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Daly, did you have an opportunity to speak to your attorney about all of your rights?
Yes, he told me about all my rights because
did anyone threaten you, force you, or promise you anything in exchange for your plea?
No, ma'am.
Are you pleading guilty of your own free will?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you pleading guilty because you're actually guilty?
Yes, ma'am.
And do you understand that by pleading guilty, you will be giving up your right to a trial?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, Ms. Daly, I need you to raise your right hand, please.
Hello?
Your right hand.
I'm sorry, I'm at work.
Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth to the best of your knowledge and belief?
Yes, ma'am.
You may lower your hand. Ms. Daly, on the date, the time, and the location indicated in the ticket ending in 94661, did you allow an unlicensed driver to drive a vehicle that you own in the city of Detroit?
Yes, ma'am, but it's
Who's that person? Who drove your vehicle?
Alice Krause, my daughter. I had co-signed for her car.
Satisfied. Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, you're satisfied, Mr. Baughman?
Yes.
I am.
The court will accept the guilty plea, being satisfied with the factual basis. The court will also accept the recommendation to delay your sentence for a period of 3 months. That is an opportunity for you, Ms. Daly, to have this charge dismissed, provided you have no new tickets of this nature. That means, ma'am, that you do not allow anyone who is unlicensed to drive a vehicle that you own in that 3-month period, and ma'am, that you pay the fine of $200. Is there mandatory with this, Madam Clerk? Does she have a mandatory reinstatement?
What is that?
I'm looking, Your Honor.
What do mandatory mean?
Mandatory.
No, Your Honor.
Okay, you don't have one, so you don't have to worry about it this time. Okay, so just $200. If you pay that $200 and you have no new charges, in 3 months, this case will be dismissed. Now I'm going to give you 30 days to pay that $200. Is that enough time?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and Ms. Daly, can you pay that online? That would be at 36districtcourt.org.
I know how to go to the, I can get my grandbaby to take me to the kiosk machine, but I don't know how to do no computer.
That will work. You can pay on the kiosk machine on the div.dat app. There's also one in the lobby of the courthouse.
Okay, they got one at food, that food deli place on Harvard, they got one there. Do I just put my name in there and my driving license?
It may be that you have to put your case number in, but you will have that, right? Your name and your case number. And
I
it
ain't
should
got
be
my,
able to.
is that the 360-334-0000?
114-94661. But it will also come up with your name.
Oh, okay, it'll come up with my name, so I ain't got to have the case number.
Right.
Oh, thank you, my honor.
Okay.
Okay, so
Miss Taylor, you're walking around and making me dizzy.
I was trying to make sure that the manager that see me not being at work, so I won't get fired.
All right, you have any other questions?
That's it. Would they once I pay it, then when I come back to court?
You don't have to come back. It will be an automatic dismissal. The only reason you would have to come back is if you had a new charge. So your daughter can't drive your car. She doesn't have a driver's license.
Okay.
The car is registered in your name.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. Thank you, my honor. So I'm free to go now and go back to work.
You are, ma'am.
Okay. How do I sign out? It's
I'll help with that. We'll help to remove you.
Oh,
remove
okay.
her, Madam Clerk.
Yeah. I don't know how to do it.
We'll do it. All right. Ms. Horn.
Yes, Judge.
On the case of, was it Mr.
Sonia Rucker. So we were on the record, we're going to give a plea on Sonia Rucker, indicated that she presented with the documents, and Officer Hill, to his credit, indicated that if he had his druthers, he would dismiss the speeding, and we thought that at the very least we would ask your opinion, dismiss that case as well, based on the officer's
Now that at the very
presentation.
least part, that's Mr. Baughman speaking. What I said is that I cannot dismiss it without the consent of the people. So the officer did indicate that he was going to recommend dismissal. I defer to the prosecutor.
Thank you for that courtesy, Your Honor. Tamika Horn appearing on behalf of the people. It was my understanding that she was going to plead to blockading, and that was the agreement, the global agreement that the parties reached.
That's
Okay,
very well.
And,
That's what we'll do here.
Okay.
all right. See, that's why the court doesn't do things without permission, because we don't know what we don't know.
Right.
So, all right, Ms. Rucker, because this is a civil infraction, we do not have to swear you in or really take the factual basis. We merely need you to plead responsible to the lesser charge of blockading traffic, and that would be case number SP 120179191. The charge was originally driving 11 to 15 miles over the speed limit. Madam Prosecutor has recommended the amendment to blockading traffic, which is a 0-point offense. Ms. Rucker, would you, are you pleading responsible to that reduced charge?
Yes.
All right, so that record should reflect that on the date and time indicated in that ticket, the defendant, Sonia Rucker, pleads responsible to the charge of driving 11 to 15 miles over the speed limit. That charge is being amended to blockading traffic. It is a 0-point offense. However, the fine is $175, and that amount is due within 14 days. Ms. Rucker, are you able to pay that $175 within 14 days?
Yes.
All right, ma'am, thank you. You can pay it online, 36districtcourt.org, or on the DivDat app at the kiosk. Any other questions, Ms. Rucker? No point.
I do kind of, because I was just wondering, like, I know that when I had spoke to my attorney and we hadn't spoken to the officer or the prosecutor yet. So that is when he came up with we could plead to something of a lesser charge.
But the case is really the people's case, Ms. Rucker.
Right, understood.
And the people are represented by Ms. Horn. So Ms. Horn really doesn't have to follow anything recommended by the police officer, because once the police officer writes that ticket, it becomes the people's case, and only the prosecutor can represent the people. So her recommendation was to dismiss the remaining charges, which she really doesn't have to do either, because there had to be some valid reason for your receiving that ticket. Even though you had documents that you showed later, that is discretionary. I mean, if you don't have it at the day, at the time, and the place, then you are technically in violation. When a police officer stops you and says, license, insurance, and registration, you're supposed to be able to say, bam, 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 here it is. Anything less than that is a violation of the law. So the prosecutor has made the determination, not the court. The prosecutor has made the determination that if you can show the documentation subsequent, by the time you come to court, they will take that into consideration and offer a lesser charge or dismissal. I couldn't do that without the prosecutor's permission. I don't have that authority. The prosecutor does. So that's how that happens. So even when the police officer recommends something different, they don't have to follow that. She's giving
Still a
you
great deal, Ms. Rucker. If I might add, it's still a great deal. Still no points in your driving record. Did have to pay a small fine, but you move forward with all of these matters taken care of and either closed or about to be closed.
Understood. That wasn't my question. But okay.
If I add, Ms. Rucker.
Oh, okay. Did I misunderstand you? I'm sorry.
It's okay. It's okay.
I thought you were questioning why she was offering something different than the police officer had recommended.
No, it's okay. That's fine. I'm fine with the fine.
And Ms. Rucker, I didn't want you, this is Tamika with the city. I didn't want you walking away with any misdemeanors either, so.
Right. I appreciate that. That's fine.
Yep.
Thank you.
All right. You're welcome, ma'am. You may disconnect from the hearing if you have no other questions. And I'm
Thank
sorry
you.
I misunderstood you.
It's okay. Have a great day. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, you too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
All right, Madam Clerk, are we leaving the live stream?
Yes, we're gonna need to, I think Attorney Boffman needs to speak with Mr. Downs.
Okay.
And Mr. Dupree needs to speak with Mr.